Good morning, Uday. Today is Friday, September 22nd, and here's the heads up briefing for today. In Australasia and the Pacific Islands, we covered 13 issues. In North Asia, 8 issues. In Southeast Asia, we covered 26 issues, along with 25 issues in South Asia and the major developments in the EMEA region.
Thanks, Bassel. What are the major issues going on today?
Starting off with Australasia and the Pacific Islands. In Australia, activists from the No campaign opposing the 2023 Australian Indigenous Voice referendum will carry out rallies across the country tomorrow. The rallies are scheduled to take place across some urban centers, including Adelaide, Canberra, Casino, Melbourne, Sydney, and Yeppoon.
Right. This is turning out to be quite a polarizing issue in Australia. So we need to make sure that we keep clients informed on protest locations, especially in major cities over the coming weeks. I believe the referendum is next month.
Yes, the referendum is on October 14th. We'll keep a close eye on that. In China, moving over to North Asia, in China, the Ministry of Water Resources activated a level 4 emergency response to flooding in the provinces of Jiangsu, Anhui, and Henan yesterday. The alert was placed after the upper reaches of the Hawaii River started experiencing flooding due to heavy rainfall since September 17th.
All right. Well, geopolitically, it will be interesting to see whether the increased rainfall will result in China opening its dams up for water flow in the Mekong, which they cut. And it's been a really dry summer in the Mekong, and because of China's dams, and that's raised a lot of tensions, especially in Laos, Cambodia, and the region.
Moving over to
Thanks.
Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, a group of workers conducted demonstrations in front of the Ministry of Manpower office in South Jakarta yesterday. They were demanding that the government increase the minimum wage by 15% in 2024.
So workers groups in Indonesia will continue protesting over this. They protest over the minimum wage every year, and every year the government does not increase it by the percentage that they want. So we're likely to see more protests in the coming months, especially as the 2024 presidential elections come up. So it's something to watch out for. The protests are not likely to be very large scale at this point.
Sure, we'll keep an eye on that today. In Myanmar, the Central Bank of Myanmar has revoked the permits of 123 businesses across the country to exchange domestic with foreign currencies.
Yeah, so this just goes on to is an example that shows the dwindling forex reserves and the more desperate attempts by the Myanmar military to hold on to cash and US dollar exchange. So the economic situation is not improving there at all. And this is just another example of that. Thanks for bringing it up, Bassel.
Moving over to South Asia and Bangladesh, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party leader Rahul Kabir Rizvi stated yesterday that the party would implement strikes and blockades if the government fails to accept its demands.
Right, so they're demanding a caretaker government for the elections because they don't believe that elections under the current Awami League government will be free and fair, which is likely the case, but they will not be able to get a caretaker government in place. So these demonstrations will go ahead, and these strikes and blockades can turn violent, especially if the ruling Awami League also decides to protest, as it has been doing as a show of force. So the situation in Bangladesh is getting a bit more volatile as the elections come closer. The January general elections come closer. Thanks, Bassel.
In India, at least 10 people were injured after protesters from the Meitei community clashed with security forces in Imphal, West Manipur yesterday. The demonstrations were held by the Meitei groups in parts of the Imphal Valley area to protest against the arrest of 5 Meitei members on September 16th.
Right. So it's been many months since violence broke out, and the central and state governments still do not have control in Manipur, which shows a lot about their ability to control the security environment in India's northeast. This is of concern, and the fact that the central government has continued to remain silent on it is a worrying development. Thanks.
Moving over to the EMEA region, concerning the latest Armenia-Azerbaijani tensions, ethnic Armenian separatists are seeking security guarantees before handing over their weapons. They have accused Azerbaijan of violating a ceasefire agreement, the latest one that was agreed on September 20th. Azerbaijan said it had agreed to a request to provide fuel and humanitarian aid to Karabakh after imposing a de facto blockade for the past 9 months.
This is interesting. Do you think the separatists will hand over their weapons despite their leadership trying to make a deal with the Azeri officials?
We could see some backlash from local separatists in some areas, but I think if the leadership agrees to the Azerbaijani security guarantees, they'll hand over their weapons, because at this point Azerbaijan is much more powerful. They have more military capabilities, and they will be able. They are actually able to enter those areas with military force.
Right. So this will increase pressure on the Armenian government then, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So let's keep a close eye on this.
Sure.
Thanks, Bassel.
Lastly, in Poland, actually concerning the Polish-Ukrainian tensions, Poland yesterday announced that it will refrain from providing additional weapons to Ukraine. This comes after tensions between Poland and Ukraine increased dramatically during issues concerning grain exports.
Right. This is quite interesting because Poland is a part of NATO. And it has provided weapons to Ukraine, but Ukrainian president, I believe the Ukrainian president recently criticized Poland for not taking its grain at the United Nations General Assembly.
Yes, that's true. And also the Polish president, I believe as well, criticized Ukraine on its stance from this issue as well. But there are some other countries also that have banned Ukrainian grain imports, which is Hungary and Slovakia as well.
Okay, so it'll be interesting to see how this changes the dynamics of the West versus Russia in Europe. So let's keep an eye out on that.
Sure, Uday. That's all for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Bassel.